Hello everyone, how's it going? Welcome to Combat Ready HQ and welcome to today's video. Today we're looking at how to join the SBS, the Special Boat Service Selection and Training. So I never served in UKSF, I did look into it, did apply and never went ahead with it. That's for my own reasons, is whatever. So I know a little bit about it. It was the SBS as well. I was looking to join, so I know a little bit how the selection and the training goes. So I'll be very interested to see what they say in this, whether I think it's true or not. And obviously, like I said, I've got no background in UKSF, so it might be slightly different, but I'll give my best commentary and best opinions on it. As always, remember to check out the original video in description. If you like it, please give them a follow, give them a like, help boost their channel. And if you could, like, subscribe and turn notifications bell on to Combat Ready HQ. I really appreciate it. It helps me push out more great content. Get the video up on a computer screen or your TV. Get a cup of tea, get a coffee, and let's go.
The Special Boat Service, known as simply the SBS, are Britain's elite amphibious special forces. Formed in 1940 as the Army Special Boat Section, with their name changing to the SBS in 1987, they have led the way in special reconnaissance, offensive action and counter-terrorism. Whilst the SBS is primarily made up from Royal Marines, anyone serving in the armed forces is able to apply, assuming they have at least 2 years military experience and are under the age of 35, as well as have at least 39 months of service remaining. The first stage of joining the SBS is to attend the Special Forces Briefing Course. These take place 5 times a year and last 5 days. This course covers presentations on the organisation, role and training of the SBS, advice on preparation and training for the UKSF selection, assessment of individual levels of robust fitness and navigational ability, conduct of UKSF swim assessment and SBS dive acquaintance, Army Basic Combat Fitness Test, the Battle Swimming Test, and a 600 metre freestyle swim in 15 minutes and 25 metre swim underwater.
Yeah, so sounds very good so far. I think a lot of people, from my experience and speaking to people, is they massively struggle with the swim test. Land navigation as well. A lot of people struggle with land navigation. It's a big one, but the swim test massively, especially if you're not a Marine and you come from that background. So if you are looking at doing this, making sure you don't go failing for the swimming, get on top of your swimming, go every week, see what the test is and practice it.
Introduction to the Klepper canoe, progressive paddles up to a course performance standard of a 23-mile canoe in 8 hours open sea, and a 6.4 portage run carrying 55 kilograms, and finally 6 progressive air oxygen dives culminating in a CPS dive. Upon completion of this stage, candidates move on to the next stage of selection. We covered this next stage in detail on our video on how to join the SAS, which is on screen now. However, in summary, this is split into 4 different stages. The first stage is the Aptitude phase, which lasts 4 weeks and focuses on the fitness of the candidates and is known as the Hills phase due to the large emphasis on marching up difficult and challenging terrain, with the final assessment of this phase being 5 timed marches on consecutive days of between 23 kilometers and 28 kilometers, whilst carrying 27 kilograms, with the final march of 64 kilometers needing to be completed within 20 hours.
So the aptitude as well, this is where you're going to lose a majority of your candidates. You know, this is most probably the way they possibly whittle it down from 200 to 300 candidates starting the course, down to maybe around 50 to 80, I believe, ready to go to the next phase, which we'll hear in a minute. Also, before then, you will actually do some sort of continuous training. It's more of a build-up course. So you'll finish your briefing course, which is your basic fitness assessments, basic land navigation, map reading, basic sort of individual practice when it comes to land nav, a couple other fitness tests, look around the armory, have briefs, constantly be assessed. Once you pass that briefing course, you then go and do like a month's build-up course. I believe it's a month. I think it's 4 weeks. And then you'll go into the aptitude phase. This is the hills, like they said, all about land nav, starting off in groups, working up to individual, finishing off with the endurance, and then those people will be selected to go to the next phase, which we get into now.
Furthermore, in this stage, the candidates must pass the Special Forces swimming test that consists of high water entry at 10 metres, water entry at 3 metres wearing webbing and carrying rifle, followed by a 25-metre swim and kit handout.
Remember, this is a big one, the swim.
5 minutes followed immediately
Lots of people
by a swim
fail.
of 200 metres wearing combat clothing. This test finishes with an underwater swim of 10 metres, including a retrieval of a small weight. The next stage of selection is 9 weeks long and focuses on Special Forces tactics, techniques and procedures, and standard operating procedures. The majority of this stage takes place in the jungle and focuses on navigation, jungle survival, boat handling, patrol techniques and combat drills, medicine and observation post techniques.
This is meant to be disgusting phase.
UK focusing on weapons training and tactics. The next stage is employment training, which lasts for 14 weeks and covers the skills needed by the Special Forces operators such as combat survival, Special Forces parachute training, counter-terrorism, signalling and surveillance and reconnaissance training.
So the jungle phase is meant to be absolutely howling. Had a few friends that went through it. A couple I know have badged and now operators within UKSF, and a couple who sadly didn't make it, but they said the jungle is by far the worst phase. It's just pure grizz. They're all over you with your skills and drills, and it's just absolutely howling. The amount of weight you got to carry, the humidity. You do get a lot of rest in the evening because it's in pitch black, so you can't really do too much. But in the day, you are constantly out, and the 2 weeks prior, you just get absolutely fragged. Meant to be disgusting.
At some point during this stage, personnel undertake survive, evade, resist, extract training. The test
no one
stage
really
for
talks about
training
this.
Phase requires the candidates to undergo an evasion exercise, dressed in greatcoats to restrict movement, and operating in small groups.
No one actually knows much about
The
this.
Special Forces support group aims to capture the recruits. All personnel are required to undergo a resistance to interrogation stage for 36 hours, even if
No
they
one
manage
knows
to
the
evade
time.
the hunter force. Candidates are placed in physically and mentally uncomfortable positions and must stick to their lines and not give away any sensitive information. Upon completion of this stage, this is where the SAS and SBS recruits separate from one another. Following on from this, the SBS recruits move on to training in order to achieve the swimmer canoeist qualification. Very little is known about this qualification, although it includes training in advanced diving techniques, parachute practice, demolition methods, the infiltration of ships at harbour and out at sea, as well as oil platforms, a heavy emphasis on canoeing skills, the main mode of transport for an SBS operator. Survival training in Scotland, beach reconnaissance such as photography and maritime counter-terrorism activities. Whilst the SAS continues to be more public with information about themselves, the SBS remain to be secretive in nature in regards to both their selection and their missions. Thanks for watching this video. Please check out another on your screen now.
Yeah, so they are very secretive. Don't know too much about them. No one talks about the SEER training. You don't actually really know what goes on in the escape and evasion. And afterwards, you don't really know. All we know is 2-2 and SBS. They both do the UK SF selection, so you are together. So they do the same, like you do the briefing course, which is separate. They do their own continuous training, and then you join up to do actual UK SF selection, aptitude, which is the hills, the jungle, and then the continuous employment training at the end. And then they separate. You go off to your squadrons. SBS obviously going to have to do their dive qualifications. SAS do what they need to do. But other than that, they are pretty much very similar. It's just SBS are maritime specialists and SAS are more sort of land and air. Same SF selection, but then they separate. Seemed very good, very interesting. Information was pretty much what I knew. If you are looking at joining and you want to be UKSF, get in the army first, do your minimum of 2 years, knuckle down, train, revise, do your absolute best, and then apply for it. Keep yourself in tip-top shape, physically and mentally. And you know, it is hard, it's a graft. But remember, small goals, always have it in the back of your head if you want to train and apply for UKSF. But remember, get in the army first, get to your regiment, keep your head down and then apply. Best of luck if it's what you're looking at doing. Hope you do well. Keep us updated with how you get on. And I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you soon.